radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Fission radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear. Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark with the Age of Fission radio show. Sorry I'm about 20 minutes late. I was just logging in to listen to Barry's show, and I discovered there was dead air. And I noticed I missed a text from him that his computer crashed and his phone wasn't working. So that's why there's been dead air. I thought I'd just jump in and get on air so anybody listening can actually get a show. I've kind of been fighting pneumonia here, so I may not be able to. I might have to put you on and off a little bit here and there to cough every once in a while. But I thought I'd just jump in so that nobody has dead air. And thank you, Glenn Woodford, for advising me of that. Glenn sent me a text and told me that. So just to let you know that what I'm going to talk to you guys, though, about is I kind of have two bells to ring right now. One is about the Shimkus Act, the Nuclear Waste Amendment Act. This is like the most critical thing that we can stop. So hang on just one second. I'm tidying up a little bit of a detail. There we go. I talked about it on Monday with Donna Gilmore. I talked about it on Thursday or Wednesday. I forget what day that was that I was last on the air breathing. But this is the thing. If we don't stop this act, when the corporations roll into your town and they say, we're putting nuclear waste in here and we don't care what you say. If you have not asserted, if you have not knocked on every single door and said, would you mind signing this petition to our city council so that we can get community rights? We can pass a Bill of Rights in our community. We have our own Bill of Rights for our little town, our city. If you're in a county, in an unincorporated area, you have to get a community rights petition for the county. If you live in a city, you have to get a community rights petition for the city. You knock on people's door, you say, we're attempting to pass a Bill of Rights for our city, and this is what it says. We have a right to free, clean air. We have a right to say no to polluters. We have a right to a happy and healthy life. Healthy life is important because all these polluters know that they're causing us to get sick. So if we assert our rights to have a healthy life, we can actually supersede in the courts. We can at least be equal. Right now, communities have no rights. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Good thing I just took my medicine. Which is not medicine, by the way, and that's how this whole thing started. But let me get back to the community rights. You can build a Bill of Rights that says we have a right to all these things. You guys can determine it, whatever it is. But it must include saying a healthy life. Because if you don't have that one little clause inside of it, and look at your state constitution. See if your state constitution says you have the right to life, liberty, and a healthy life. If you have a healthy life, you may be able to go without that, but it's always a good idea. I mean, I'm going to have Kai on July 11th on our show. That was the only day that he could come on, and I just found out yesterday, so I said yes to him, and I'm going to hopefully reschedule my other guest who is Heidi Lambert, and but I had to say yes to Kai because that was the only day he could do it. He's busy all summer long. So, anyways, he's going to be explaining how this works. But unless we assert our community rights, these polluters have legal standing over our health. And if people don't understand that, this is critical, especially since these bastards in this Shimkus bill are going to be shoving nuclear waste down on all of us. And by the way, Barry, if you're out there listening, you can always give me a call and take over the show if your phone works out. So that would be awesome. But it doesn't look like it because I don't see Barry online at all. I think his phone and his computer bit the dust again. So, there's two things here that are very critical. While we're listening to the blah, 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 Putin, Russia, Trump doesn't believe the Russia. This is hilarious that Trump doesn't believe the Russia investigation. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a man who looks at his wife sitting in a hospital bed with two black eyes and rings around her neck from being strangled by him, saying, I don't know how it got this bad, which happens every day. We watch this going on every day in hospitals. I mean, to me, Trump is just the denouement of how we've been living our lives and agreeing to lie about everything in our country. You know, lies, lies, lies. It's like the people who say Hillary Clinton was a good candidate, right? Like, really? No. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Democrats are responsible for Donald Trump. Otherwise, we'd have President Bernie Sanders right this second, and our country would not feel like we're on the precipice of war. We would not feel like we're on the verge of collapse, and we wouldn't have a bunch of people saying, make America great on nothing. Thin air. He's done nothing. He took granted 500,000 jobs that were the leftovers from Obama. He's deregulated to stimulate the economy. Yeah. But you know how many people that's going to make sick? Lots, folks. That's going to make a lot of people sick. So seriously, I cannot urge everyone that is listening to this show who lives in the United States and even in Canada, I don't know, and I know that they did work, CELDEF did work with the Ecuadorians. I mean, it's not the perfect answer, but it's something, folks. Yeah, they're going to fight us on legal terms, but that doesn't mean we don't have tools. So CELDEF, it's www.celdf.org. That's where you can find out about how to assert your community rights, because they are voting on this act, the Nuclear Waste Amendments Act of 2017. They are going to vote on it, and unless all of us, especially the red state listeners, if you do not call your senators and say, and your congressman, you have to call your congressman because it's in the House. But call your senators as well. Have your senators put pressure on the congressman, because the Congress people in D.C. are subordinate to the senators. It's kind of like that's how the pyramid was built, right? There's lots of us, several hundred of the House, 100 of the senators, and bing, the executive branch. We still have that little diamond. So the whole thing is still built on a pyramid scheme, but that's the reality we live in. But your senators can really, and your governors, please call your governors and tell them, no, get involved in this, because we do not want nuclear waste. We do not want to lose our water, air rights. We do not want to lose our utility rights. We do not want to lose environmental impact reports. We do not want canisters that have not even been tested for safety to be moving across our states. We cannot handle any of these things, any of these. The whole bill is just an abomination. And you know why they're doing it? Because they're going to save several $1 billion. Because it's an expensive endeavor. They created the mess. The federal government created this nuclear mess. We have a responsibility. They have pushed it down our throats for 80 years because they want nuclear weapons, because they want dominance. They want to stay in power. And frankly, Russia is horrendous in terms of its nuclear stance. But at least they do deal with it. You know, France is the same way. France is no better. So it's really, really important. If anybody wants to call in, the number is 718-717-8106. You can give me a call. Help me and Barry out here, eh? Anyways, hold on just a second. Okay, so about my non-medicine, what I'm doing is mega dosing on vitamin C. It's called, I'm following the advice of Dr. Levy, who is a heart doctor, who suggests mega dosing on vitamin C. Hold on just 1 second. That was Barry giving me a call. So that's what I'm doing. I'm mega dosing. I'm taking herbs, black cohosh for the muscle relaxants in my back. This is a long story. About a week ago, I sort of got attacked. And I went to the hospital, and then I'm fine, except that I happen to have a big heart. So too big for my body, I guess, but it's healthy, no coronary heart disease. But I picked up pneumonia from the kid in the room next door. So I was healthy until I went to the hospital, which is why I stay away from hospitals and doctors. And after that, I went, what the heck was I doing? So I contacted my myofascial therapist, who's an herbalist, and she's given me some herbs. And I read this book that I had been given and had not read. And I decided to read it. It's called Primal Panacea by Dr. Levy, and I highly recommend it. It's knocked out the pneumonia like boom, like that. Basically, you give yourself 200 milligrams of vitamin C for every pound that you weigh to fight pneumonia. So I followed that protocol, and in just a few days, I'm way better. Taking some herbs to control the cough, which, as you can see, a million times better. That being said, let's get back to what's going on with these rats in the nuclear industry, because they really don't care about our lives. I mean, I honestly wish the people in St. Louis would embrace this idea of community rights. It's kind of sad to watch them to continue to just like try to figure out they're trying to talk logic to people who don't care about logic. They're attempting to talk about the safety rights, and the only thing that we can do, unless you assert your community rights, folks, is to block permitting. That's it. That's it. So it's the most important thing that we can possibly do. So, anyways, let me text Barry. Hold on just 1 second. I'm going to send him. Okay. All right. Let's let Barry know. He was freaking out because his computer crashed, and we apologize for that. Barry has his show on Radio Confluence. It's not Radio Confluence. It's on his show is called The Big Puzzle. And you can find him. And we agreed for him to do Fridays. Unfortunately, his computer crashed. And when your computer crashes, you can't exactly communicate with anybody. And his phone wasn't working. So that was the answer. I have really been out of the loop for the last week on the nuclear stuff because of the pneumonia, and I really didn't feel like I ought to be looking at this stuff while I was super sick, so I haven't really done it. So we'll just go through the exercise of how I find my nuclear news. I just go nuclear disasters in July 2017. And that usually pulls up nothing because we live in the United States and they suppress all the information. But I like to look at the Google's news first, mostly because in the Google's news, that's what Americans get. That's why I like it, because most Americans go to Google, get the most of their news feed from them. Even though they say they hate the mainstream media, everybody goes there. Believe you me. Hold on, guys. My brain is not operating too well. Hold on. I'm going to send Barry the phone number. Then maybe he can give us a call and join me, because at least this is better than dead air, wouldn't you think? I think this is better than dead air. I got to get in a little plug for the community rights and to tell you guys to contact your representatives about stopping this Nuclear Waste Amendments Act of 2017. It is a disaster for the United States and, frankly, to the world. I'm going to retype this. See what it says. Nuclear disasters 2017. Oh, wow. The first thing that pops up is the IAEA, July 3rd, 2017. So let's see what the IAEA's package of lies are today. So let's see what this says. On July 3rd, 2017, Japan provided the IAEA with a copy of a report on the discharge record and the seawater monitoring results of Fukushima Daiichi Power Station during June, which the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has sent to an international missions in Japan. The report contains information on discharges from the subdrain and groundwater drain systems, as well as on groundwater bypassing conducted during the month of June. In both cases, in advance of the action, TEPCO analyzes the quality of the groundwater to be discharged and announces the results. These results confirm that the radiation level from the sampled water are substantially below the operational targets set by TEPCO. So listen to this pack of lies. Let's see. There's actually a link. It says report. I think that's the link of the report. So let's put that on a separate page. We only have a little tiny wee bit here. Oh, wow. Hold on just a second. You know, the downside to having pneumonia is you get, you need to take an extra deep breath sometimes. Okay, the Japanese government has provided the EA with a report that summarizes the events and highlights the progress related to the operational recovery, blah, 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 blah. They're really good at typing a lot of words and saying absolutely nothing, aren't they? Based on the information provided by Japan, you notice they're saying, oh, we can blame the Japanese if it turns out to be 100% incorrect. So based on the information provided by Japan, no significant changes were observed since the previous report. Measurements of cesium radionuclide levels in foodstuffs, together with appropriate regulation action in public communication, means propaganda, including the publication of monitoring results, are helping to maintain confidence in the safety of the food supply. I don't know how people can just not start dropping F-bombs when you start listening to this stuff. I mean, honestly, these people should be strung up. Literally, this is outrageous. Not whipped, just strung up and terrified a little bit, just like scared, because that's what they're doing to the rest of the world. Give them a taste of their own medicine. Do no harm to them, just, let them see. Make them go live in Futaba. How about that? We relocate the entire IAEA to Futaba, Japan. That's my proposal. The IAEA, since Fukushima is the event that changed the world, how about if they just go over there and relocate their headquarters in Fukushima, directly in the heart, Futaba, 7 miles away from the power plant. Let's just have the IAEA go set up camp there. See how they feel about what they're writing. Food restrictions continue to be revised and updated as necessary in line with the results of food sampling. So the better they get at hiding the results, the more food they let people continue to eat. That's my little addendum. Oh, wow. Here's Barry. Let me see if I can add him to our phone call. Good morning, Barry. You're on the air with me. Barry? Barry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
That is awesome. Thank you for joining us. It's funny. I was turning on your radio station to listen to your call about 15 after, because I've been dealing with pneumonia. I don't think I shared that with you. But I've had pneumonia, so I thought, oh, man, Barry's on. Let me listen. And the air was dead.
Yeah, I know.
So I just jumped on. So thanks for joining us. So you know what I'm reading? Have you listened at all in the last few minutes? This is unbelievable. I'm sitting here reading the Fukushima Daiichi update status from the IAEA on July 3rd, 2017. They're telling us everything's fine, Bear.
Everything's good.
Everything's good. The food, don't worry. Food restrictions, listen to this. Food restrictions continue to be revised and updated as necessary in line with the results of food sampling and monitoring. This indicates the continued vigilance of the authorities in Japan and their commitment to protecting consumers and trade. Based on the information provided by the Japanese authority, the situation with regard to food safety of food, fisheries, and agriculture continues to remain stable. For real. These people, you know what I would just suggested? I think we should petition the IAEA to move their headquarters to Fukushima, to Futaba, 7 miles away, where they're having people move back in. If it's safe for the residents of Futaba to live there, why can't the IAEA relocate their headquarters there?
Yeah, maybe the whole Tokyo government, maybe the whole Japanese government should go live there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, why not? I think that's a great idea. Like, they're telling us that it's perfectly safe, perfectly fine. So if it's really perfectly safe and perfectly fine, let them live there. Let all these people just live there. I mean, honestly.
Somebody was mentioning me they're going to have the World Series of Baseball there.
Yes, they are. That's right. They're going to have. They're having the baseball. Check out what they're doing. This is egregious. Libu Halevi's reported on this repeatedly. Toshiba created a program, has a foundation where they've gone out and reclaimed wood from around the Fukushima disaster, around the Fukushima area, and they're building the stadiums from the reclaimed wood. The Olympic stadiums are being made out of Fukushima wood that's been reclaimed, has not been tested. So not only are people going to go into a zone, they're going to be putting their rear ends on these seats that are full of radiation. They're going to be having the baseball stadium being built there, and the baseball games are going to be played there. And for the first time ever, we're having surfing at the 2020 Olympics.
Cool. So they get to surf in that water just off the coast there.
Just to prove how safe it is. And the opening services, the opening ceremonies are all going to be mostly, I think that they're planned for Fukushima. There's big opening ceremonies in Fukushima. I don't know about you, but I mean, look, this is the thing. There are, it's well-known fact that these athletes, their hearts are going to be affected by this. And a lot of these Olympic people, they go there for like 3-4 a month ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time to start training. I guarantee you we are going to see some of those people having heart attacks and problems. They're going to be dropping dead. For real.
You'd think, Lonnie, any country that's going to send their athletes over there would want to be doing their own testing to find out if there is problems or any kind of potential threat to their athletes. Because you're not hearing it from the Japanese government. We know there's a media blackout going on in information on Fukushima.
Well, we're not hearing it from any government, let's be clear.
I mean, just to even think about sponsoring an event there with the levels of radiation that we know exist around there right now is ludicrous. I don't understand what they're doing.
Well, what did E&E News say just recently? E&E News said that they have recently measured the highest levels of radioactivity ever around the Fukushima Daiichi plant. That came out also July 3rd, the same day that the IAEA printed out its report. Let me pull up this. This was actually the last bit of nuclear news that I actually read a few days ago because I was just like way too sick. I was like, I need to just give my brain a break from this. My energy was super low. It was just too painful. So this was July 3rd, the very same day. This is so outrageous how egregiously hateful the IAEA is. This came out from Tokyo Electric Power Company. This is their results. Radioactive analysis of around Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. Gross beta underground water observation. Gross beta 24 million becquerels per cubic meter, or 24,000 becquerels per liter. Underground water observation in hole number 3-5, 190 becquerels per 1. The highest results announced. These were the highest results ever announced. This is so outrageous. And then on the very same day, we have the IAEA telling us exactly that, well, they were talking about June, right? So, but what they're doing is the way they twist the words. See, the people in the nuclear industry get paid to twist words. They're propagandists. They're not scientists. They have scientific knowledge, but they are paid to twist the information. So outrageous. So, Barry, we have about 15 minutes left. Let's promote your show on Friday. So next Friday. Who were you planning on interviewing today?
Well, I was going to actually have Shaziz in today because I wanted to talk about nullifying nuclear waste through frequencies.
Awesome.
He's doing a lot of studying on that right now. And, that to me is going to be one of the biggest problems we have going forward is to how to deal with all the nuclear waste that we've created in the last 30 or 40 years through nuclear power. How are we going to dispose of it safely? And he's working on some pretty cool stuff right now using frequencies. He's telling me, he told me off the air here, Lonnie, that they can take nuclear waste now and turn it into energy. We have enough nuclear waste.
Oh man, I can't hear you, brother. You hit a dead zone. How ironic, he starts talking about the solutions and then boop. Yeah, you're back. You know what? If you run into trouble next time connecting with him a few minutes early next week, give me a call. But you know what? I love Shaziz. I interviewed him once, but I felt too stupid to actually interview him again because I don't have the sign. I felt like I was asking him super basic questions. So maybe we can.
We'll get
I look forward to that. I really look forward to that.
My computer was hacked again here in yesterday it was hacked because I went to start it up and it just won't start up. I just had the whole thing refurbished and I'm taking it back into the computer shop this morning. But having real problems. I think I'm being hacked, to be quite honest, Lonnie. I think somebody's attacking me. This is twice.
Do you have like I actually paid for, what do they call that? Some type of an expensive firewall. It's like a thing to create so people can't hack me. But it was kind of pricey, to be honest. It cost me like, I think, $230. But nothing gets through. It's actually pretty awesome. But, that's the thing. It's like you have to pay in order to be protected. This is the whole paradigm. Like, if you are doing something good, this is why, actually, I'm a big promoter of this whole concept of community rights. It's the same issue. It's the exact same issue, to be honest, as the community rights. Like right now, I told you about this, the Nuclear Waste Amendments Act of 2017. Congress is trying to push this through and get it voted on the House and then through the Senate, and nobody's going to look for it. It basically takes away our federal water rights, our federal state rights, our state rights on the water, state, federal, and local water rights, state and local air rights, and other rights. It eliminates the need for impact reports, environmental impact reports. It eliminates the need for safety over cost. It eliminates, it eliminates the need for government oversight. It eliminates the need for safety analysis on transporting gas, even if they're leaking. I'm serious. It eliminates. It is a very, very dangerous bill. And if people don't call their congressman in this country, they will not have a right to say, because they haven't asserted their community rights. They won't have a right to tell these corporations. Can you imagine living, let's say, in where they plan on putting it? The first place they plan on putting it is in Texas, over the largest aquifer in our country. They plan on putting most of the waste over the largest aquifer in our country. And in Texas, people calling up their congresspeople, their senators, and saying, we don't want that here. And they're like, we don't have any legal rights over it because of this Nuclear Waste Amendment Act of 2017. We no longer have any rights over these corporations. That's what this bill is going to be doing. It's for real.
Wow. Well, people better stand up to it, Lonnie.
Well, now is the time to stand up. I mean, look. We're seeing right now at the G2 hundreds of thousands of people in Europe pouring out in the street. They're not taking it. But in these states, what was ironic is we saw hundreds of thousands of people standing up in the streets as just a visceral reaction to the how repugnant Trump is to us. But really, as usual, all that energy dissipated into nothing except to grumping. Everybody's like, Trump this, and you see all these horrible memes about what he's doing and complaining about. I mean, he's done some very serious damage to our regulations in this country. He has stripped away some very serious safety acts, and thankfully states are pushing back and fighting him in the court of law on the safety issues, on the education issues. Like, they've done some very serious damage, and we're having to fight back legally before they get imposed. But at least people were standing up. But in America, people are just like, that's what they do. That's how they're going to do it. In fact, honestly, the last time I was on air, I was in the chat room, and it really just, I'm never going into our chat room. Those are the most cynical people I've ever seen in my life. Worse than on Facebook, worse than on Twitter. They just like, well, that's the way the government is. Everybody's horrible. Nothing you're going to do. And nothing changes unless you change. Once we change our minds, thoughts are things. If we decide it's going to change, it changes. We have to make a decision. The line stops here, and we are not taking it, period. The line has stopped for me, which is why even though I'm fighting pneumonia, I decided to get back on the air and put this show back on, because at least I could talk about community rights and I could talk about the Amendment Act, because they are going to vote on it in August, folks. Time is of the essence. It's important for you to pick up your phone, dial the little few numbers and say, please stop the Nuclear Waste Amendment Act of 2017, or I will not vote for you. If you vote yes, I will not vote for you. That's all you need to say. Period. You don't have to tell them why. Just they don't care why. They're going to vote yes because nobody cares. They have not even read this act. Hold on.
Well, don't you dare go anywhere with your show, Lonnie, because your show is very vitally important. And as far as your people in your chat room goes, I agree. There actually is a couple people in there that I've had. I saw conversations there that were fairly intelligent, but there's a lot of trolls in there.
Yeah, there has to be. They have to be trolls, I mean, they're so contentious. They have to be paid, to be that contentious.
But, the world's full of different people, and can't stop them from coming in there. And I'll still go in there once in a while and converse with them.
Not me. I'm done. I'm really completely done.
Oh, okay.
So,
but anyway.
Well, I'm sorry that your computer got hacked. We look forward to next week's conversation with Shaziz, man. That'll be really awesome. I mean,
I'm pissed too, Lonnie. I'm dealing with computer problems here that I shouldn't be dealing with. I mean, like I said, I just had the whole thing totally refurbished, and I went to fire it up last night, and it gave me an indication, and then all of a sudden, just black screen. So, I'm thinking what's going on, and hopefully.
Well, you know what happens? You live in Canada, though. Canadian activists tend to get attacked more often than in America. I don't know why. I think because in America, we're much more ineffective. In Canada, people are more effective,
Well, funny, Lonnie, the government all of a sudden has taken an interest in me, in my taxes. They're calling me. They're telling me now they want to do an audit on me, blah, blah, blah. None of this stuff ever happened before, but it seems the more I get involved with activism, the more I'm hearing from the government.
Well, you know what I do for a living? I do tax resolution. That is my living. I help people that get caught up in audits and owe the government money and get their wages levied and that kind of stuff. So I understand American law, but you know what? There are ways to fight that. And once you win, I'll just tell you this. If you can keep everything in order and once you win, just stay calm. Really, just get your shit in order. Go if they're going to audit you, sometimes an audit can be your best friend because at least in the States, once you win an audit, they can't look at you for 10 more years. So the big thing is your gross receipts must match your bank account. If that matches at least as much as you put in your bank account, if you over-report more than in your bank account, you're good. Get your receipts in order. In the States, if you don't have all your receipts, you can document them in a journal if they're under $75 each. So it's not that hard to win an audit, but it's a lot of homework. It's worth the effort. You go in with all the documents in order. Don't let the person who's doing your audit for the government assess all your numbers. Go in with everything already tallied up. Don't just hand them a box of shit and say, oh, here's my stuff. Go in with everything all in order. and all added up with ticker tapes. And so that you've done this is the one thing I know about government workers. The more you do your work, their work, the more they like you. So who doesn't like someone else to do our work? You know what I mean? And it also shows that you're in compliance. So I would say don't be freaked out, because expect this, because we are challenging a multi-billion, trillion, godzillion, 80-year-old industry that has no regard for human life. None. Mm-hmm. So expect this, because we're asking them to stop. This is what Kai taught me from the democracy school about what's considered a win. And people are shocked. That's what he said in the class. He's like, the activists are shocked when we get a win, and then within a few months they start hitting us on another front. He's like, people get defeated because they keep coming after us. They always find another way. He's like, look, a win is a win. It's still a win. But expect that they're not going to just give up. They want absolute power, period. So, like, we got our civil rights. We started our country. They started back. They enslaved the black people. So then the black people got freed, and then they started the Jim Crow laws. And then we fought back on that, and the women got their rights. And then we still have not ratified the Women's Rights Act of the United States. Women still do not have equal rights to men in the United States. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, quite interesting, yes. Yes. Which is why probably the Senate has, a panel of 14 men on our health care thing with no women, saying that we're not going to pay for your birth control. Do you know that? This is what the Republican plan says. We're not paying for your birth control. We're not going to force health providers to pay for your births. Maternity care is no longer available just as an automatic. They don't have to accept it. Can you imagine paying for health insurance that's not going to pay for you to have a baby?
What?
Yes. I mean, this is so egregious. These people are just so egregious because it saves money. This is the logic. You have a choice. If you want to have that type of policy, your options, you have a choice. You can pay for the premium that will cover that, but they're not required to do it.
I think I'm just going to go back to bed, Lonnie.
I'm definitely going back to bed. I actually have a treatment this morning. I'm going to go see my myofascial therapist this morning, get some treatment on my muscles. I think I shared that with you, Barry. Last week, I think I came under spiritual attack. I got I thought I was having a heart attack, actually. Last Friday, I went to the emergency room, and it turned out I wasn't having a heart attack. I had worked too hard in a community garden the night before, and the upper muscle in front of my heart was in spasm. They took an x-ray of my heart. My EKG was great. My blood level, they tested me for coronary heart disease. None of that. They couldn't figure it out, so they x-rayed my heart. Turns out I'm kind of like the Grinch reincarnated. I have a heart that's kind of one size too big for my body. So the heart was pumping against these spasming muscles, and it created this negative feedback loop where I was like in constant pain. So I basically needed to just, they gave me a muscle relaxer. They told me to take 18, this is the AMA. They wanted me to take 1,800 milligrams of ibuprofen for 2 days. That was ridiculous. After one day, I felt like crap, so I contacted my myofascial therapist. She says, oh, wow, just take black cohosh, which I did. I happen to have some, and it's a muscle relaxer, basically. So I started taking it, and it worked really well. Well, as it turns out, 3 days later, I came down with viral pneumonia. I was in a room, in the emergency room, for 6 hours next to a little girl puking everywhere who had viral pneumonia. I heard the doctor say, well, she's got viral pneumonia. And so I picked up her viral pneumonia. I've been fighting viral pneumonia. I was fine physically after the cohosh, but I've had viral pneumonia for the last week.
Wow.
Yes. And I did not go back to the AMA. No, I called her up. I got some tinctures. I read this this book that my daughter gave me, which was super awesome. And I should put up a link to it because it really did help me. Pacific Panacea, I forget the name of it, but basically it's written by Dr. Levy about megadosing vitamin C, and he recommended 200 milligrams of vitamin C per pound of weight. So that's megadosing on, but you know what? In 2 days, I'm like feeling tremendously better. So highly recommending getting that book. So
cool. I hope you quick, Lonnie.
Yeah, I am actually. It's because as they found out in the hospital, I actually am very healthy. It's kind of funny. Like they couldn't figure out what my symptoms were because I get there and my blood pressure is 110/66. That is definitely not heart attack blood pressure, right?
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and the whole time my blood pressure was fine. My EKG was fine. So then they ran the whole thing. They said, well, maybe you have arterial, heart disease or something going on in there. Nothing. So, this is what happens when you go into the AMA. And net result of that is a $2,500 bill, which I'm going to call them up and say, you need to reduce that bill because you guys gave me pneumonia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see how many seconds we have left. I see we're at 8:58. So the name of the book is Primal Panacea by Dr. Thomas E. Levy, MD, JD. Forward by Gary Gordon.
They should get everybody that's going into a hospital Scott packs now because it seems like you go in the hospital and you get sick. And I've heard it so many times.
Well, that's because the way they have the hospitals, a hospital's a place for sick people and they make you sick. Anyways, we have about 15 seconds left. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Thank you, Glenn Woodford, for letting me know that there was dead air. I love you, brother. Thank you, Barry, for joining in with us. We'll see you next Friday. Put your courage feet on, you guys. Talk to you later.